What's up, basketball fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. You knew this video was coming. The Clippers are out of the playoffs. They have lost to the Suns in 6 games. And the question becomes, should Kawhi Leonard have left the Raptors? Now, I know the immediate reaction is going to be, well, he won you guys a championship. You should be grateful. And we are, guys. But we can't deny the fact that Kawhi Leonard definitely helped the Raptors get to that next step. But we also had some really nice pieces in that year he was with the Raptors that really helped Kawhi Leonard get to the finals as well. It was a win-and-win situation for both teams involved, both parties involved. But for today's video, I want to talk about why that was the biggest mistake of his career. So before we get into the details of this video, you know what the drill. Give this video a thumbs up as it helps reach more basketball fans like yourself. And if you could hit that subscribe button as well. That being said, guys, let's get into today's video. So the reason why a lot of us Raptors fans are kind of a little disappointed and sad that Kawhi Leonard left was what Josh Lewenberg tweeted back when Kawhi Leonard signed with the Clippers, which was there were obviously other reasons as to why he chose the Clippers, including especially his desire to go home. But one of the things Kawhi Leonard told the Raptors when he met with them in Toronto last summer, according to a source, was that he didn't think they were good enough to repeat. Now, this is quite funny because this is not the only report that came out. Apparently, he said this to Masai Ujiri, so you have every right as a Raptors fan to be a little frustrated with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, you're just coming off of a championship and you tell them that they cannot repeat when you've got nice pieces in Pascal Siakam. At that time, he was 25 years old, up and coming. We saw the finals that Fred VanVleet had after having that baby. He's improved rapidly, and OG Anunoby didn't even play in the playoffs. So, I mean, the fact that he told the Raptors they cannot repeat is absolutely ludicrous because we know what happened the following season with the Clippers, which is absolutely one of the biggest choke jobs in NBA history of being up 3-1. That huge lead they had against the Denver Nuggets when they were up 3-1 in Game 5, and then they blew it at halftime, and we know what happened. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard both choked in Game 7, and the fact that he had the audacity to tell the Raptors they are not good enough when easily the Raptors could have gone back-to-back champions, and that is absolutely ludicrous for Kawhi Leonard to say that. Now, I don't know how much Uncle Ben had a say in this, but that's quite disappointing coming from Kawhi Leonard. That is why I think a lot of Raptors fans, including myself, kind of felt some sort of way. Now, this was kind of contradicting himself. Yeah, obviously he wanted to go back home, but this is one of the quotes he actually said, once I got together with my team and we put the pros and cons, it was never about winning a championship. So if Kawhi Leonard is saying going back to the LA, his home, it was never about winning a championship, we should expect Kawhi Leonard to accept that player option he has with the Clippers this season, right? I mean, he should not be complaining they're not winning a championship because according to him, apparently it was never about winning a championship. So despite the Clippers being out in the conference finals, if he's saying this a few years ago as to why he didn't sign with the Raptors, he's kind of contradicting himself. And I want to go back in the previous screen here because he said to the Raptors, to Masai Ujiri, that apparently they're not good enough to repeat, but then he says it was never about winning a championship. So which one is it, Kawhi? Is it about winning a championship? Is it about going home? What are you trying to do? If it was never about winning a championship, why did you wait till they traded for Paul George? Why did you not just straight up sign with the Clippers? And apparently what he told the Clippers ownership at that time was they weren't good enough to compete, so that's why he waited till Paul George got traded there. So I don't understand what's going on with Kawhi Leonard, his decisions. I don't think he's being 100% truthful, but it's just bizarre when you think of how he said he doesn't want to sign with the Raptors because apparently they're not good enough to win a championship, and now he says this. So I'm absolutely feeling some sort of way. I'm grateful for what Kawhi Leonard has done, but that's absolutely ridiculous. He leaves the Raptors in those 2 seasons, and what has he accomplished? Absolutely nothing. He has not even made the finals once. And you could argue, the Raptors would have made the finals easily if Kawhi Leonard was on that team last season. But I want to talk about team comparisons. When you take a look at the Raptors and the Clippers, look at the percentages, the winning percentage. This was last season when the Raptors were without Kawhi Leonard after winning that championship. They went 53-19, 736 win percentage. Meanwhile, look at where the Clippers are, 681. They still had a really nice season too. They had some injuries going on as well. But when you take a look at the Clippers and the Raptors, comparing them last season, you have a look at their defense as well. Raptors #1 defense in the league. Meanwhile, the Clippers are, I can't even see them on the screen, right below Charlotte Hornets at 109.9. So I think that was one of the biggest mistakes of Kawhi Leonard's career. I think he talks about not wanting to win a championship with is absolutely BS, because now he's heading into free agency. He's got knee issues. He's just turned 30 years old. And there were some reports that came out last season. Apparently, He's been dealing with a tendonitis in his knee, so that is not aging well for someone who's just turned 30 years old. He could have potentially won with the Raptors, and yes, the Raptors missed the playoffs, but shout out to my good friend JJ Buckets. He mentioned this in one of our podcasts. He said, don't you think Masai Ujiri would have constructed the roster a lot better if, let's say, Kawhi Leonard had won that championship again the following season and come back and re-sign with the Raptors? We definitely would have signed more than Aaron Baines and Alex Len. And that was just a silly decision on Kawhi Leonard's part. But the fact that, let's talk about this, he left to the Raptors for playoff play. Now he's, shout out to Paul George, he's had himself a nice playoffs. But still, I mean, when you look at the comparisons here, I put some statistics up for you guys. I just don't think complementing each other's game, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, are not those two players that work well together. And these are just statistics. Now, understandably, you're going to score more because you're getting more shots when Kawhi Leonard isn't there. But looking at the field goal percentage, why is his field goal percentage higher without Kawhi Leonard? Wouldn't your field goal percentage be higher with Kawhi Leonard, considering that the defenses are focusing on him when he has the ball? I mean, you look at the statistics, and everything takes a huge leap when you look at Paul George's statistics without Kawhi Leonard. I just don't think their games complement each other. I think it was really foolish of Kawhi Leonard to leave Pascal, Fred. OG wasn't even playing. Norman Powell has really grown as a player since, but leaving some of those nice core pieces he had with the Raptors, who could have easily repeated, but for the fact that he left for Paul George, and you know what, who for Pat Beverly, I think this is where I don't understand a lot of players. It's not just the fact that you can just team up with the best player. I think Masai Ujiri in that sense did not get enough credit as to how he constructed that Raptors roster around Kawhi Leonard. I mean, the fact that, you know what, I still am a little baffled that Kawhi Leonard told this man right here, one of the best general manager executives in the game, that they do not have what it takes to repeat as champions. They were a few points away from going to the conference finals again. Unfortunately, they came up a little bit short against the Boston Celtics the following season in the playoffs, but that's absolutely ridiculous. You can't just team up with the best players available. And if that doesn't show you how smart Masai Ujiri is when it comes to roster construction, I don't know what will. The fact that he had all of those pieces surrounding Kawhi Leonard in Toronto, I think Kawhi Leonard was blessed when you talk about the fact that he had everything going for him in the Raptors system and he still wanted to leave. I think he got a little bit too high off of that championship. He's a great player. Don't misunderstand me when I say that. He's an absolutely amazing player, but the fact that he left something so well made for something that was not really made, you know. Paul George is a nice player, but what had the Clippers done since? Nothing. And there's also some reports coming out with Kawhi Leonard, which is the fact that he has apparently lost trust with the Clippers medical staff. Now, this sounds so familiar to Kawhi Leonard fans, the Spurs fans, because we know what happened with the entire Spurs organization. He demanded a trade. So on top of that, he had it so well in the Raptors system, load management. We created that. We created a trend for, you know, players like Kawhi Leonard dealing with nagging injuries, and he still left us. You know what? He still left us. It's okay. It's understandable if one player wants to go home, but the fact that he's contradicting himself when he says it's not about championship, he wants to go home and play, so yet he waits for Paul George to get traded there. It doesn't make sense. He had it so well with the Raptors organization. We treated him well. We aided him with his injuries. We had one of the best medical staffs in the league. And as I mentioned, load managed him entire season. The Raptors still played amazing without him as well. But still, he wanted to go home. Hey, it's okay though. You know what? You can go to the Clippers. You're not winning any championships there. But thank you for that one championship. But I am still not happy with the fact that how he left the Raptors. He pretty much just threw that slap in the face of Masai Ujiri saying we cannot repeat again. And yet he has not made the finals once in the 2 seasons he's left. Now he's got a big nagging injury. Does he accept the player option? We'll have to wait and see what happens in the offseason. But I do want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure to leave your comments. What do you think of this whole Kawhi Leonard situation? Do you think he's going to come back with the Clippers? Do you think it's about championships? What is he really doing? No one really knows what's going on in Kawhi Leonard's head. But I still want to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section. So please make sure to do that. And if you're still watching this video, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.